Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. There is the book title. Maybe I'll actually put it, this is not the time to do it. This is not the time to do it, but I'm going to do it. We're live. We'll do it live. We're doing this live. Where do I think that is? What's the currently reading? Right there. It's actually, you can't really see it on the blue, but whatever. And you're the browser source? Yeah, we're going to put you right there. Fun times, everyone, because I'm favoring this side a little bit more. Anyway, for those that are joining me on TikTok, Andre, great, good. You can moderate. You can get in there. It's a bit of a slow start. If you are watching, make sure you say hi. Make sure you drop some boop, 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 boops, little hearts. I think you can do the same thing on YouTube. You can. I'm dropping hearts in there right now. That's cute. We love all that. Hey, listen, we're doing The Will of the Many. This is part 1. We will split our main books into part 1, part 2, half the book first, and just so we can kind of get the scope of the book, and then we go full spoilers for the second week. If you haven't read up until chapter 34, there will be spoilers. I also have a bunch of voices in my head, and they are Members Plus, and we're all hanging out in a video call right now on Discord. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of you right now, which is really, really cool. That actually provides like a book club as if we're all in the same room together talking, but it's broadcast out to everyone else. It's just the voices in my head. So if you do hear those voices, you'll see who's talking with this prompt right here. Let's see if it works when everyone talks at once. 1, 2, 3.
Hello there.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Hello.
Well, it's doing its darn best, but I'm going to move the currently reading over into the corner because whatever. All right, cool.
Hey, Maude, we need to sing.
Oh, we do. We've had a couple, speaking of the Members Plus, we've got this cool thing on Discord. By the way, we have a full-on headquarters over on Discord. If you haven't yet, join the Discord. It's absolutely free. We just talk books 24/7, but there's all these other conversations and all these other genres, and it's really cool there. I run a bunch of giveaways there. I think we've got about 3 giveaways coming up. So lots of chances to win lots of books, which is really, really cool. And it also on the Discord members chat, which is my favorite place on the Discord. And we actually did a little bit of a feedback survey. People who join as a member, it's the #1 thing that they enjoy as well. All of the locked channels in the Discord. There's a notification when people's birthdays happen. And we have had 2 birthdays this week, and they're both Members Pluses, and they're both in here right now. Colleen, your birthday was earlier in the week. If you do not mind disclosing, can I ask, with all of the decorum life will muster, how old you've just turned? You're muted, Colleen. That's the answer, though. That's the best way you could have said it.
27.
3/4 of a century.
Woohoo! Wow! Colleen is the resident grandmother to us all here. We absolutely adore Colleen's life stories when we get them. Happy 75th birthday. That's so incredible. And Katie's also in here now. Usually Katie is juggling either soccer night training or cooking dinner. Are you? Hey, I saw you unmute. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
I don't feel like I should ask you the age that you have turned, but it's lovely that you've had a birthday. How's your birthday?
It was great. I spent it with my husband and children. It was great.
That's so cute. So usually we will do something quite fun here in the members chat, and that's when it's someone's birthday. We will sing happy birthday, but there is a caveat. We all sing it together, and because everyone's internet is different, it's distorted, and it's quite possibly the worst noise you've ever heard, otherwise known as a badge of honor if it's your birthday. So Colleen and Katie, would you like to be absolutely wrecked with this rendition of happy birthday? Ears will bleed, souls will die. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Colleen and Katie. Happy birthday to you.
The will of many.
Yes, you guys
we really
have
gotta get our
absolutely.
tempos locked down, guys.
No, we don't. The worse it is, the better, really, when you think about it. That is just horrible, but it comes from the bottom of our heart. Listen to Tim. Why listen to Tim? Listen to, what did you say? Jeff, is that you in YouTube? Why are we listening to, was that another Jeff? It's a GEOF. That's not you?
That's me.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's me.
I was like, there's no two Jeffs. Why do I have to listen to Tim?
Because the world would be a better place if more people did.
Oh, here it is.
Academics said don't listen to Tim.
All right, so because this is part 1, and I have a question before that. Actually, even before that, Terry, thank you so much for 60 months in a row. 60. That commitment is fantastic. I really appreciate you. And when you show up, even if you haven't finished the chapters as well. Turtle Ellis and P-Dog, thank you so much for the follows. Katran, 24 minutes ago, and Haley Drew Hoof, 25 minutes ago. Thank you so much for the follow. Will P has joined us back as a member on Patreon as well, along with Frito, who's resubbed to Members Plus, which is fantastic. So that's a little bit of the housekeeping. Who didn't read the fucking chapters? Who hasn't read the allocate? Okay, Tim didn't, Colleen didn't. Colleen gave us an excuse in our members hangout before the show. Steph, where are you up to?
I got to part 2.
That's not so bad. That's not so bad.
Part 2. Yeah.
There are going to be some spoilers. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. Okay, actually might help sometimes. Darian, where did you read up into?
I finished it today.
You finished the whole book?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my next question. Who didn't stop reading? Who didn't stop reading? Darian read the whole book. I'd like to shout out Space Cowboy, who I know for a fact read and finished that. Yeah, me, I finished. Yeah, I was calling out because I knew. Darren just finished chapter 34 at lunch today. Lovely. Ali says, to be fair, the first part is pretty difficult to trudge through. We're going to be talking about the onslaught of exposition in here. KPW said, did anyone read exactly the 34 assigned chapters? Me. Ali, you're on 51. Cheeky. I love it. P-Dog say, hey, this is like Game of Thrones. There's a lot of build-up, but the payoff is absolutely worth it. I'm pretty sure we had first-time chatters as well. Yes. P-Dog said, for everyone who's still in part 1 or 2, please just finish the book. So much happens in part 3, especially the last 100 pages. What is James Islington's version of a Sanderlanche? An island volcano? We'll workshop it. We'll workshop
a storm? I don't know.
A lava flow.
We'll have to get it by the time I interview James, but we're gonna call it. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, tidal wave.
Alexa, you keep out of this. This is not about you. I can't stand it when Alexa's like, hey, by the way, are we in a conversation? It's like, no, never. I'm not lonely enough to chat to an Alexa. Nope. I didn't mean to say it. Sorry, guys. What were you saying, KP? He said, I don't know. I'm not sure. We were trying to get a James Islington Sanderlanche equivalent. Slingshot. No, because that's it's slingshot.
Well, I think
it's Islington.
I don't think so.
Islington?
It's Islington because that's what the announcer said, or the narrator said in the beginning of the book. He pronounced it that way.
Yeah, but is the narrator Australian?
I got it.
I got no idea.
He's Scottish. I looked it up. He's Scottish because and I'm going to start conspiracy theories here. He eerily sounds like Tim Reynolds' third name, Gerard, who does all of the Red Rising series. Like separated at birth. And some of the names, like Julie, I was like, this sounds familiar. Octavia. Is it
names?
We're going to get into that as well.
Telemus is not Telemanus.
Telemus.
I can tell you that they are all just Roman derived. That's what they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or carbon copy. Can I copy your homework? Sure, just change it so nobody knows.
That's what the Romans did to the Greek. It's all fine.
Yeah.
So there are some similarities, and we will go through them. We'll go through
one
them.
type of civilization, so
We'll go through them for sure. Bernadette says, look, I read up to chapter 37 and I forced myself to stop. Bernadette, I think we may have put out a graphic that said to read to 37 and then every other one said 34. No idea how that happened, except to say that we have new staff and we're in growing pains at the moment, so it's all good. Toast Post says, I got to 37. I wasn't sure if it was 34 or 37. The good news is I did not read to 37, so I can't spoil it, which is huge for me. Huge for me. The S must be silent, right? Says Ali. We're not sure. We're not sure. P-Dog says Islington. Okay. I sling a ton. Yeah, I like that. When he slings a ton of plot in chapter 3. 37 was probably a better chapter to stop at than 34. Oop, I actually think 32 was a better chapter to stop at in comparison to 34. But that's okay, we'll get there. Is Zeus supposed to be Greece, but Katanan, how do you say it in the... Where, Academic, you're going to have to help me a lot through this as well, because reading the... Katenin. Reading them and hearing them are so vastly different. My goodness, I went into the Google Doc to read some of these names and I'm like, because as I was listening, I'm like, how is Alkista spelled? Alkista.
Alkiscore.
I'm like, how do you spell Alkiscore? Certainly.
According to the glossary in the back of the book, it's Katen and the academy, and it's Katenen.
Katenin.
Katenin is the people, and Katen is the place.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's like the one named Yannick's. When you read it doesn't look like that at all.
Is it with a J?
It's hard.
It's Ianix, but it's called Yannick's in the audiobook. So
Yannick's.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like Ionic, whatever you read it. So.
Sedotia got me. I did not think Sedotia was spelled Sedotia. I thought there was a C in there for sure. No. Bilato says 32 would miss the best chapter so far, with Vaden saying, I agree. What's the best chapter so far?
33.
What happens in 33?
He goes to the ruins and stuff happens.
I thought that's what I thought that was 32. My bad. Then 33 was the chapter. That was a good clean stop. Okay, so let's get through this premise here. If you're dropping on, say hi. If you're dropping on by, thank you for dropping all the hearts as well. Stephanie said, look, it's a long read, but I've made it. Pistachio says, my favorite book, bro, is live. Bro! I don't know if anyone's listened to Dungeon Crawler Carl, but anytime bro is just on a standalone, it is, what is that, level 2? Level 2 boss battle with Jim Bro? Bro! That's how I hear bro. Hydrate. Hell hydrate. In Maude We Trust says, big bro. Thank you. Turtleneck's in the chat as well, saying the Will of Many rocks. If you are watching this on the plethora of different platforms it's on, please let me know your first impressions on the first half of the Will of the Many. What did you think of it? Was it an easy adjustment to make? Jeff says yawn. I'm not sure if yawn is the right word for me. I feel like it was a bit of an info overload, but I could not stop comparing Viz to Darrow the whole time. Same person, different chapters, you know, like no academic. Okay, fine. That is our first point of conversation. Let's talk about Viz versus Darrow. So Darrow started on the bottom rung of the ladder. He never, and I feel like Viz here was born with the silver spoon in his mouth. The way that it was sort of unveiled, I thought was quite subtle, where it's just almost like a throwaway mention. And when we see his old mentor, his dad's sort of like best friend who's now leading it's not worth calling it a rebellion. It is Would you label it a rebellion or a terrorist organization?
They're the Red Hand, if you want to do the Red Rising comparison.
Yeah, right. But like, yeah.
Academic, I thought you didn't want to compare it to Red Rising.
Okay.
I'm fine. I'm
Children.
fine as long as it's utility.
You literally spent 20 minutes telling us it's not Red Rising.
We're going to talk about the similarities and the differences. Now, the reason why Red Rising is an easy go-to here is because we have done the entire series with Maude's book club, and if a majority of the people read all 6 books, 6 books, it's a terror rebellion, says Hallie. I like that. Oh, Byla is giving it a 3 out of 5 to start, but the bones of a 5 out of 5 with good writing. Interesting. Cheyenne's giving it a 3 out of 5 so far. Darren's giving it a 3.5 out of 5 so far. Okol's giving it a 4 out of 5 so far. Usually I don't like ranking it when we haven't finished the book. I usually do first impressions as like a vibe check. Vaden says 3 out of 5. Jimmy says 3 out of 5. Bernadette says 4 out of 5. Oh my God. Is it just because I love books like this that I'm at like a 4.5 out of 5? Steph said a 2 out of 5. Guys, how did Red Rising absolutely get like multitudes of 5s and this one's struggling? What's hurting the first impressions portion? Tim, you gave this a nudge. You didn't make it. You're bowing out. Why is that?
No, I'm still reading it. I'm not going to quit. I'm more invested in this than I was in Sanderson, but for me personally, it suffers from the same issues I had with Sanderson. There's too many details that get in the way of storytelling.
Yeah, there's a lot to tell.
I genuinely don't care about. Like, okay. I don't care.
Okay. And it's interesting because it's like, what is it about the writing where you don't care, but I do? And Academic does, and like Steph doesn't. Like, so Steph,
there's just a lot of stuff that I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care. I need that to be a sound effect. I don't care. Steph, it's 2 out of 5. What are you not loving about this book?
I think it's just too slow going for me. Like, the build-up is too slow. And, I don't know, he's whiny. I can't stand the whining.
Oh, okay, so this was a great conversation we had last week with our protagonist. What makes a whiny lead? And Jeff, you thought that I can't even remember his name anymore. Fucking Haymitch. Haymitch was super whiny, and you thought it was like whiny characters were more in the YA realm. And we had a conversation about, yeah, but when we were 16, God, did we whine all the time? Because now that we're a lot older, we have scale. We have so many bad days that we can actually tell what a truly bad day is and what is a 16-year-old bad day. Academic said the best thing about a whiny protagonist, and that is when the complaints offer, like when there is no, what is it? When there is no attempt at a solution.
When they lack agency, when they complain about a problem, but they don't try to act on a solution to that problem.
Now, I have that in real life as well. I will give someone, I will listen to complaints all day, but if they complain about the same thing for the 3rd time, I'm like, you're whiny. So what makes Viz whiny? And is it kind of, what was I going to say? I think I tried to combine 2 words in my head to say implicable. For someone who was raised a prince and then on the streets and then in an orphanage, is that someone who has comparison and therefore has agency to complain? But Steph, what made Viz whiny for you?
I think it's when he was trying to start the training with, I forget how to say her name, Lanista. And I don't want to get up, but okay, I guess I'll go train. And it's the same thing over and over again when he was doing the training. To me, it felt repetitive. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the feeling I got from him. Like, I guess a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old trying to get up in the morning and doesn't want to do it, knows he has to do it, but
is going to absolutely kick and scream the entire time doing it. Also, Lannistia. Lannister. Great. Thank you for like phonetically putting it out there, because that is actually really helpful. Jeff, who thought that most other characters are super whiny, especially Darrow, which is where the conversation first erupted. You don't think Viz, this character, is that whiny?
I think that has something. I actually appreciate the writing of this book. Like, I actually think it's fairly well written. It's just like what I was just about to type into the chat. It's just like every section of this book is like, oh, that's from this book. Oh, that's ripped off from this book. Oh, that's ripped off from that book. Oh, that scene at the big at the stadium and the thing, that's from the Magician series from Feist. Like it's all just ripped off from something else. All of it. Like every single scene is like, oh, that's from this, and that's what's bugging me about the book.
And he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for your meddling giant reading list that you've consumed. And I have a feeling that maybe on average, 1 or 2 people would get 1 or 2 references. But you managing to clock every single one of them, that's the reward for reading so much, I suppose. Jeff is suffering from the success reward. You're getting pissed off reading. Every little thing reminds you of every other book. That must suck. Jeff is going, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, that's so funny. Hold on. Lisa! You're in TikTok, but you're not in the members squad chat. What are you doing? What are you doing, Lisa? So spry. Oh no, you're in. Oh yeah.
I think Lisa didn't read the book, and that's why she's not here.
I know. I follow Lisa on Goodreads. She started it yesterday. Lisa, if you're there, I sort of brought that up and shamed everyone who I saw starting this book yesterday, and you were included on that list. But I mean, like, Lisa usually starts the book like 4 or 5 days in advance and cleans it out in enough time because she'll listen to it at 4.8 speed.
If Lisa hasn't finished the book yet, that should tell you everything you need to know about this book. Lisa,
are you enjoying this book yet? Maybe she's already tuned out. She was just scrolling through TikTok and went, whoa. Fair enough. Pistachio Freak says, oh, this is a completely different thing. Your interviews are the best. I still need to watch the Smitty interview. Yes, I do top 5s. The top 5 books that shaped someone's life. And I think it's really good insight into the person. And I'm trying to get more like actors and creators and narrators to give me their top 5, because I think that's a really good job. I think that's a really cool insight. I might have to reread it to get a little refresher for The Strength of the Few. You mean this book? Somebody got an advanced reader copy. Very excited for this. Thank you so much to Saga Press for sending that one. Gimme, says Stephen. Also to Saga Press for giving me an advanced reader copy. This one arrived over a year ago, and I did start to read it while my parents had visited Australia and we were heading to Yellowstone. And I got about 5 chapters in before I was like, this is a book club book. But I now have The Strength of the Few, which is coming out in November. So we're really excited. So you don't have to wait too long for that. I need to be right back. Try not to do anything clippable. Thanks.
That's why we have Seb, Cowboy.
I hope.
Do you know something clippable? We have Seb.
This face, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Willow, but at around the maybe the 3/4 mark, when they go to Tirismith or Tirismian or whatever it's called, and Willow does the spell on the troll. It turns into this weird thing that looked like it went inside out, and so he kicks it into the water, and then a 2-headed monster comes out, and it chomps, and one breathes fire. That's what it looks like. I actually did sit in the mirror and try to practice that face for a very long time until I got it right, and I've got it. It's not a compliment. In no way am I making myself sound or look good in this moment. Rizzy says, hi, everyone. Toaster Post said the advanced copy was Red Rising with bits of Name of the Wind. Okay. Ali says we should take bets on the title for the 3rd book in the series. The Will of the Many, The Strength of the Few.
The something of the one.
Right.
The power of one. Wait. I feel like that's already a thing.
The power of all.
The power of all.
No, because the numbers are getting lower. You went from many to few. The next step is one.
So it's gonna get to singular.
What if it's just like Viz ability? Never mind. Ali, we are. I saw that. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Ding, ding, ding.
The something of the one.
The rage of the one.
Ooh.
The weakness of a couple.
Anyway, let's talk about this book. Let's get into it. We are drawing comparisons between Viz and Darrow. Some people agree, some people disagree. Academic, I think you're in the camp of disagreeing. Let me tell me why. Tell me why. I already talked about the fact that Darrow started at the bottom and he's working his way to the top as a gold, whereas Viz is kind of like the other way. He's a prince, and then everyone died. We actually don't know. We don't know what happened to his family. He sometimes has flashbacks and he's like, "Ooh, that's tough. Oh, I don't like remembering that." And you're like, "Oh."
Yeah. I mean, this starts from a position of like knowledge of the society, as from knowing obviously what he could have been to having his indoctrination from wherever he's from, to coming to the society and being at the bottom. Then when he's on the run as an orphan, and then he's sort of working his way up, knowing to where the possibility is, and he's trying to run away. He's not like searching for justice like Darrow is. So his motivations are not aligned in the same way that Darrow's motivations are aligned.
Yeah. Darrow is. Well, no, Jeff disagrees. He's flailing. Go on, Jeff.
No, I'm just gonna say he has no motivations. Like
Darrow
his entire
doesn't?
motivation is freaking like
No, Viz doesn't.
Oh, Viz
Like his
doesn't.
entire motivation seems to be just continue existing. Like,
Surviving, no? I feel like it's way
surviving.
more surviving than existing. If he wanted to exist, he'd stay low. But he's surviving,
but
and
he
I
tries
feel like
to.
yes, but now he's been
He
presented
would have
with an
stayed
opportunity.
low until what's his bucket ran into him in the prison.
Exactly.
The thing is we know what happened to Viz's family because they basically tell you they were killed in an invasion. So if Viz has any motivation at all, it's revenge. But he doesn't seem that keen on it because he's just like, I'm just gonna try to make sure that nobody notices me. And then this random rich guy is like, hey, I'm gonna send you to the academy as a spy, where now you're going to be thrust into the front of everybody, and you still have to not let anybody know that you were a prince of a country that was invaded.
I missed him reading the book.
Freaking point.
Well, the point is the carrot that Alquiscore dangles is that this gets his true. If he finishes top of the class, he gets to be in a position where he doesn't have to cede will to any, which is like part of his indoctrination.
Let's talk about
He's
seeding.
bothered about that though because he's clearly willing to take multiple beatings over it. So it's not like it's a big deal whether he cedes or not. He's like, I'm not gonna do it. Hit me. I degaff.
It's
like,
very important though. Like that's the whole premise of the book is people give up their will, and he doesn't. Like giving up the will was what causes the problems in society.
Note, you cannot convince me that the will is not the force. We'll die on that hill.
Hey, look,
Darian has been raising his hand.
If that, Darian, let's go. But I was gonna say, if that's how we have to get that in our heads, I'm so fine with will being force. That's great.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil the second half of the book, but I think it's very clear in the first half that his motivation is just to survive, and all he wants to do is keep his head low until he could get his motivation is keep his head low until he could get as far away from the hierarchy as possible. So he will go off to the boondocks wherever their attention is the least, and he just wants to survive and live there. And not ceding will is part of his identity. It's very important to him to not cede will.
Or receive it, for that matter.
Something at some point is very subtle where something happens to him, and no, it's very subtle in the first half where he something happens and it should have affected him more, and it doesn't, and I think that's because he's never ceded will.
He touches the sapper in the prison, and that's why what's his name went to adopt him is because he saw it.
Yeah. Hey, can we talk about seeding really quickly? Because Occult Stool, I'm with you. I'm an audiobook listener. Darren said Viz wants to run away and not seed, and seed is CEDE. Occult Stool and I are here going SEED.
In context.
I'm like, so what? This guy's not seeding? What is he, just like celibate? I don't.
Like conceding, I think is what it is.
That's so helpful for me. My goodness. Occult Stool, you and I, Jason and I are just here like,
the difference between reading the book and listening to the book. There it is.
It changed
the whole context.
Ooh, seed.
It was very clear to me what seed
If it was SEED, it'd be a very different book.
Oh yeah.
One of the spicy ones.
Yeah, it would be a spicy romantasy.
Well, I'm glad that clears it up.
Or not spicy.
Eating his will, then it sounds like he's somehow sapping that from other people. Isn't that what the sapper is?
Seed, sap, it's just tree and flora stuff, really. Yeah.
Sappers is a bad term because you know what sappers actually are? They're people that run in and blow things up. I have a buddy that was a sapper in the army.
Hold on, I feel like KP Dubs, your Dungeon Crawler Carl TTRPG character is a bit of a sapper. The Sappers Club.
Trapper.
Yeah, he's the Sappers Club.
Jeff is also a bit of a sapper, right? Banana trees and all that.
Oh yeah. Jeff, we need to get you in that next game. Reading some of the other comments in here. P-Dog says there's actually also a prologue that goes deeper into the story of the invasion of Seuss. Blue Shell says, I find it odd that he's risking his life on the regular for someone he doesn't know to reach the top of a society he doesn't like, just to live a normal life. That's when you put it that way. I think, academic. Tap you in.
To be fair, it's not just, he's not trying to get to the top of the society. He's trying to get to the top of the academy so that he doesn't have to only seed will, but also so he doesn't have to receive will. Because like at some inflection point, it's going to be weird that he's neither seeding or receiving, and he can't just survive and exist if that doesn't happen. So
how do they know if you are seeding will? How do they know?
I think it's kind of part of like you essentially kind of belong to somebody in the rank above you, because it's like everything of like, the primus, the secundus, the tertius, all the way down to the octavii. And so like it's like a direct line of your will goes to this person that then goes to this person and travels up the chain.
How are you distributed into the numbered sector? Because that's the thing. We find out this guy's a prince. That's primus status, no? And then all of a sudden he's been bumped into the octavi. What? No,
he's not even octavi because he's an orphan.
Yeah.
What? So, no, he's not Octavius because he's never seated. He was never primus status because he never received will from anybody, because his culture found will abhorrent, will use abhorrent.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the comments here. KP Dub says he's the shell-shocked version of Obi-Wan hiding on Tatooine. He was powerful, but now just wants to go unnoticed. Toast Poster said it would have been cool if his adopted father mailed him quest to gather information. Would have been great internal conflict over spying on his friends. It also would have been really cool if that man who ended up blowing up the entire, 2/5 of the stadium, had tried to adopt him first. Let's fill in some blanks here. Has he always been watching over Viz? Have they had conversations up until this point that he's now however old? I'm reading 3 books simultaneously, guys. He's not 20. How old is he?
17.
Deanne is 20 from the Everflame.
17 going on 40.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, how come he's only just seen him for the first time? Let's not poke holes. There's holes. Except the Force doesn't require other beings ceding to Jedi. Okay, I'm still wrapping my head around that because it's a new word for me and I've had 4 minutes to adjust. I mean, the sappers, I was like, what are they doing to them if it's seeding? Anyway, Bernadette said, I assume they will reveal what the whole seeding process actually is. Okay, so we don't really know still. Ali says, Darian, I love your accent. It sounds like home. Ali, where are you from? Are you also Trinidadian? Are you also a daddy?
I am curious.
Does anyone, I mean, if I'm an Aussie, are you a daddy? Has Trinidad jumped on that one yet? That's such a shame. I'm a book bro. Trinidadians can be daddies, surely. Ali, are you a daddy? Ali, daddy? Daddy? Ali? Daddy? Lurenesque, thank you so much for the follow. Pistachio Freak jumped ship. Pistachio Freak was over on YouTube and then followed on Twitch. I love to see that. That's a lot of fun. Oh, Steph ages ago said, I've seen Willow. Thank God, otherwise that was just a weird face I was pulling. Occult still says, I hope he gets super will powers from going straight to the source instead of remnant tech pillars. Bilato says the Force has no source. Explanation, limitations, or noticeable effect on society. So there you go. There's will is either breath from Warbreaker or endowments from Rune Lords. I do not need to go into endowments after seeding. It's just too much happening. Thank you.
Some people in that book are well endowed.
Who's Will? You said Will. Will is either from Breath of the Wild. The Breath of
Will, as in the Will.
The Will.
Will. You leave
the
Will out
is the Force.
Okay.
So breath is like the magic power in Warbreaker. Like you can actually give your breath to somebody else, and then you go all kind of gray and weak and whatever, and they gain power and whatever. Mine. It's the same as will in this. And in Rune Lords, there's a thing called endowments, and that's like skills and stuff, and whatever. But you can endow it to someone else, and then you get weak and whatever. It's the same exact concept. It's ripped off directly from those two books.
Got it. Okay. P-Dog says, I'd never thought about seed versus seed for readers versus listeners. Well, here we are. Ali says, the biggest difference between will and force is that it stays tied to the people who seed. If the seed source dies, they lose the strength they contributed. Occult Stool said seeding is tribute. Will is basically one's emotional and physical energy, says P-Dog. Goblin sappers from Warcraft 2 blew themselves up. That's right. Thanks, Darren, for that blast from the past, quite literally. The sappers table in Dungeons & Crawler Carl. Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. This is how far behind I am in the chat. Rizzy said, maybe that's why I struggled with this book. Listening to it, I was so confused and not very interested in the world or the main character.
Because they're not interesting.
The government tracks everyone via the census. The census keeps detailed records on everyone, but they never got Viz. But what about how do you say her name again? Lannistia. Oh, I've lost my spot in the Lannistia, how she is seeding to sea. That's right. That was a really cool thing. And I think that's getting tied in. Yes, academic.
To be clear, they never got Visp because he's never seeded and he was an orphan refugee. So that's another part of his motivation, is that he is now has a name and a household. So now he can be recorded in the books.
Got it.
And now he has a way out of this without having to seed or receive will. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Ali says, I'm Indian, but I grew up with a ton of people from folks from Caribbean.
Ooh.
But I grew up outside Queens, New York.
Close enough.
And then Blue Shell says, How long have you been 17? Which is a reference I understand. KPW says Trinidaddy, really, Maude? Yeah, I stick by it. I stand by it big time. Feet of Fire, first time chatter, says yay to Aussie authors. At least we get to attend signings since no one else comes here. Feet of Fire. That's why I left the country. That's why I live in America now. People in this pyramid can get promoted or demoted. A Septimus could move up to a Sextus. Speaking of, I bet a Sextus is really good at seeding. Fuck, I walked into that one. There you go. Okay. Generally, orphans seed, but can refuse, but that's rare. He was whipped because he refused to cede to the matron of his orphanage. Okay, that works. Hello, Elbel. Lovely to have you here, love. How was your day? You been streaming? You been doing good things? Over here we are doing Moore's Book Club. We're chatting about the first half of the book of The Will of Many. Let's go over some of these characters. Viz Telemus. He's our protagonist, hiding his true identity as a survivor of rebellion, and Viz must navigate the Academy's ruthless politics while wrestling his own anger, grief, and need for survival. He's a fugitive orphan adopted by Alkiskor Telemus, previously known as Diago. Diago just reminds me of, and it's not close, but the bird.
Is it the bird from Aladdin?
Every time.
Diago.
What? Gilbert Gottfried, just like in my ear over that one.
And we don't need to talk about Gilbert Godfrey.
We sure don't. Alkiska Telemus. Otherwise, so this is the thing when listening as well. I don't have time to process. So when you call him Alkiskor Telemus, I'm like, great, that's his name. When you say Magnus Quintus, I'm like, great, that's his name. I thought Magnus was his name, and now it's Alkiskor, and I'm like, no. And then it's like, there's another Magnus, and I'm like, there's no way two characters are the same. Oh, okay, so Magnus is the title. So it's like Magnus is military. Magnus is military, and Quintus is 5. Telemus has nothing.
Right.
Telemus is his family
name.
Like I said, when I said there's too many details, this is what I'm talking about.
So I want everyone just to have a little bit more grace with me, because this is getting flung at me and I'm like doing the best I can and figuring out a little bit later. Oh, wait a second. There you go. Steph says, I'm confused with the Magnus too. Magnus is not his name. Magnus is the rank.
Title.
Quintus is the rank.
Yeah.
There's military, religion, government. Governance. And something funky's going on with religion.
Yep.
Surprise.
Oh my God. Did I just read that the Catholic Church of fucking Los Angeles is getting sued for something like 1.3 billion to cover up for the 13,000 cases of sexual abuse?
In other news, water is wet.
Meh, they have it to spare. Horrible.
This is also true.
Horrible.
Yeah. Shocking. Something weird is happening with religion.
So to bring it back to the book, something weird is happening with religion and they need to infiltrate it. Now, usually it's a sign of status, and like if you did well at the academy, you would want to go into military. But they're on the cusp of a war at this particular stage. Shit's about to go down. How do we know this? Enter Calidus. No. What's his fucking name? Who's his mate?
It's Calidus, yeah.
It's Calidus. I thought it was with an R, but it's Calidus.
Calidus.
I say Calidus.
Calidus. He's a class 7 student.
The back of the book has the pronunciations.
Not going there. I have it in front of me. Does it have the? Oh, I have it in front of me.
At least the copy that I have, the back of the book has all of the pronunciations.
Heaven.
Just FYI.
And there's locations as well.
Yeah, it's Calidus.
Everybody just watches Maude's head explode.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. Aurora, Columni. This is great. They even helped me with Mira. This is good stuff. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. It's in my hand, but I have been listening to it. So Calidus is a class 7 student at the academy, is a friend of Viz, but his father is basically like the most important person who is learning about will, who is learning about the infrastructure of sort of like the hierarchy and the number breakdown, which we learn in a couple of later chapters. Hey, maybe don't tell everyone about the breakdown of 8765431 because no one really knows that. That's going to come back later. As soon as someone says, hey, maybe don't repeat that. You're like, oh, we found out a secret. This secret has to be important. Calidus, not Cassius. Exactly.
Because it's not Red Rising, right?
He is purposely staying in 7 because he is convinced, he doesn't want to be a hostage. And so he's trying to make his value less and less. And he is absolutely convinced that within about 6 months, there is going to be an all-out war. So he is not putting a target on him at all. He is flying under the radar completely. And the fact that Viz calls it out being like, you shouldn't be in 7. What's your deal, kid? And he's just like, I'm probably not going to live the next year. So yes, Darius. Darian. Cassius. Darian. Darius Cassian. Sorry.
He's also aware that what do you call the thing at the end of the year? The Eukidium or whatever. He's like, people die in it, and he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be in class 4, class 3 to die. So that's another thing. He's like, there's a war. I don't want to be a hostage, and I don't want to inevitably die at the end of the year because of this thing in school.
But it makes you wonder what he knows because he is so resigned to like no long vision. It's like short term only is what he's trying to get through. And Academic was saying that Calidus, God damn it, this is going to be really hard for me, is more like a rogue character over a Cassius, which I agree with as well because he's in the books. He's just hitting them books, isn't he, for funsies? But he's not even doing the school curriculum. He's like figuring out something else on the side. Okay, so I guess a point that I would really like to get into is the slowness of the first part of the book. The inundation of information where we are learning about the prison, him fighting, learning that there is a caste system when we meet a Magnus Quintus and what that means, even though he was pretending to be a Sextus, wasn't he? When he went in there. We know that Viz is working a day job and a night fight job, trying to earn that money. So you're kind of getting a real strong grasp of Viz's life. What is the information that you felt was the most important and stood out in the first part? Or what do you think could have just like held back a little bit because it bogged you down with too much information? And that's probably kind of hard to digest where it's like all the information is going to be necessary. But what was like with part 1, what parts did get you excited? Did you enjoy? The prison part for me sucked. The fight, really liked it. Yeah. I read that chapter a couple of times. I remember when I first read this book and I'm like, what is going on in the prison? What is sapping? Sapping. You know what I mean? Yes, Tim?
The fight scene was really good. Like, I was all in on that scene. And then it was just like, we're going to completely ignore any of this for the rest of the book.
Yeah, except...
I thought that scene was really cool.
Yeah.
I thought the attack on the Transvect was very, very cool. Like, that whole scene was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then they just kind of abandon it. And I'm like, it's like, I don't know how to describe it as much as it's...
Which part of it did they abandon?
The only thing I can come up with as a description is not appropriate for your stream, so I don't want to say it.
What part of that attack on the Transvect was abandoned?
Well, you keep in mind, I at the end of chapter 18, so I haven't read all of it. But it feels like they did all this thing, and then it was like cool, and then they just. So I mean, I know they're building up to coming back to it, but it's like, just stick with that. Like, I don't know. Personally, I would have just seen it. I would have rather it been written differently instead of like, okay, we fought them and then we escaped, and everybody wants to know how we escaped, but nobody really cares.
Yeah, but
and it's just a lot of just yakking about nothing.
Yes and no. I'm going over to TikTok really quickly. Varen said, honestly, I thought the book was good the whole way through. Nothing crazy, but that last chapter sent me spiraling. So we haven't finished the book yet. We're just talking about the first half of the book up until about chapter 34. And then Alicia's here saying, Maude, oh my God, love this. Yes, I'm trying to do lives on TikTok as well, since I do 2-hour streams 3 times a month, pretty much every week, when we break down what's happening in the book, the main book, and the book. Oh God, that's a deep cut. I still, what is this, 10 years later, can't say the book without saying the book, which is from a blooper that Sam Basher said 10 years ago. Shout out to all the SourceFed fans, but still exist. Surprised you're still alive. It was so long ago. I thought I had more time to finish the book. Stupid dishwasher, broken dishwasher stole all of my time. Follow Night, we're only up to chapter 34. We split this up into 2 parts. First half, second half. So if you haven't finished it, stick around, stay a while and listen. Ali says the fights were well written. The diatribes from various characters on political ideology were also good. I'd be okay with those sections staying and then having less world building. And then earlier, Bernadette said, I enjoyed the fight scene and when the Transvect crashed and the Festival of Yovan as well. Blue Shell said, did we need time in the orphanage? Could El Cisco have just approached him at the fight? Ooh.
No, we didn't need any of that time.
That's actually a nice trim because what's her face? Sadoshia was already there monitoring him.
Or caught him at the library after he left the fight and snuck his way into the library to study before he went to
use its name, Biblioteca. And if you watch Community...
it's a library.
Donde esta?
A biblioteca. Yay!
I think you could have trimmed that whole orphanage nonsense because it's not that important.
And actually, it raised an inconsistency for me with his character. He's flying under the radar, but he's fighting and earning money. The orphanage, head of the orphanage was pocketing a lot of his income as well that he was making at the prison. Somehow they were paying her to give to him, and she was like, half for you, half for me, which is pretty bullshit. Why did all of the other kids at the orphanage hate him? Because
he didn't seed.
Yeah, it's mostly because he never seeded. That's the only reason.
It's because of the hierarchy's like beliefs. They called him Rex or King because it's like, oh look, he's better than us because he doesn't seed. And so, like, his scars were representation that he thought himself better than them.
But it doesn't actually add anything to the character.
It does.
The fact that a bunch of orphanage kids don't like him adds to his character arc? How?
It adds to the world. It explains why they don't like him.
It's not important. It's not important.
It's not. Doesn't speak to just the orphanage kids. It speaks to the entire society, right? The entire, excuse me, not society.
Already
hierarchy.
Know that.
At
chapter,
no, we don't.
That's how you know that in the first place, because of that.
We either already know it or we're gonna find out anyways later. It's not
important. I didn't need to know that the orphanage hated him. I actually like the fact that that could have been a bit of a slice. That's interesting. I like that. More comments coming on in. Maybe Blue Shell follows up saying just a mention of the orphanage to understand where he's been living would have been enough. And Rizzy says the prison part and the gladiator fight thing was really cool, but it was surrounded with just too much info that wasn't delivered in a way that felt like the story was progressing. But I also DNF'd after like 90 pages. We do have DNFers in the club.
Guilty.
I'm going to try and persuade you to keep reading. And hopefully talking about it with a community can help with that as well. Like if it's a solo endeavor, sometimes you're just like, I don't care. But when people are like, I loved this part, that could have been cool, this is what this means, you're like, oh, nice. Okay, now I'm a little bit more switched on with it. Or you can do what Tim does, and that is absolutely denounce the entire author forevermore. Sorry, Sando. Yep.
You don't just the author is garbage.
You don't just quit a book. You opt out of every book from then on. Rizzy is saying, I hope you guys can inspire me. There you go. Academic says, I think Baden raises a really good point. We can't just take Viz's perspective as truth since we only get his POV. We need to see how the world reacts to them. There is a lot of conversation about the unreliable narrator with Viz. I get a little annoyed when he's trying to flex for the sake of it, when he's just trying to be a bit of a know-it-all. I didn't like Hermione in the book sometimes, where I'm just like, chill the fuck out, Hermione. You are not interested in making friends. And then I met Trisha Hirschberger and it all clicked. Trisha is like Hermione, where being right and being knowledgeable and smart was the most important thing, but it cost her social acceptance. But you got to find that out sometimes the hard way. She also said she got really, really mad when everyone cheated on tests and she studied and then got the same results. And I had to tell Trisha that I cheated on every single test in grade 8, and I got really creative about how I cheated as well. But look where I am now. So
there isn't an engineering student alive that hasn't cheated on something.
If you're an engineering student, come forward. Confess your sins. Cheesecake chimes in.
I only graduated because of Chegg.
Cheesecake chimes in over on YouTube saying, yeah, it gets good. Keep going. Peter Sanello says, please do keep reading. It gets so good. Trust that the build-up is worth it. It's when people preach about books like this where they're like, don't put that book down. Keep reading it. Trust me. Keep reading it. I listen when people are that enthusiastic about it. I'm like, I trust you. Absolutely. Tim, your hand was up.
No, it wasn't.
Darian, your hand was up.
Oh, I was just gonna say, there's like a very specific reason he has to show off in school, because it's the way the classes are structured, and he's been given a mission to rise to like the top rank class and all that stuff. So
yes,
he has to kind of,
but yeah. I understand the methodology behind it. I understand why he is trying to maneuver from 7 to 3 is to infiltrate. It is, and I don't even hate him for it. I totally understand it. He feeds off peer validation.
Yeah. I just have a question though. Like, how does this school actually work? Like, are you just there for like one academic year? Or are you there for like secondary schools are 7 years?
Got no idea.
Right?
I don't know.
It's essentially 1 year. It's a competition. It's not an actual school. Like, there's tutoring, but the goal of it is to see whether or not you'd get placed, where you rank. So
yeah.
that's
by doing a labyrinth, and just a labyrinth. It's so important, this labyrinth. You got to make those walls move. You got to make those onyx stones groove. I'm just catching up with some of the comments saying, Jeff says, I'm with Trisha on this one. Rizzy says, cheating is a skill. Academic says, I hate the engineering slander. And Cheyenne says, maybe I need to start hanging around Trisha. See, I just this goes back to Viz, right? Viz, the reason why I bring the Trisha analogy into this, A, because I love her, but B, book smarts gets you so far. And Viz is throwing books. Like, he is trying to be so book smart that he's actually missing one of the more important qualities, and that's street smarts. So he's not recognizing, he's not, and his friend Calidus had to tell him this. Oh my God, Academic's neck is about to break. He's shaking his neck so hard. He's saying no with the veracity. His friend Calidus had to say this as well, where he's like, stop getting so disappointed that people hate you and that you're not progressing as fast as you'd like. There's so much more to this than being the smartest in the class. There is, like, none of this is fair. You're expecting this to be fair, and it's not. There are so many other layers on top of being smart and brilliant. How you play the game is just as important as winning the game. And I think that's what Viz isn't learning. Now, I think the reason why you were doing that so much. Also, P.S. got my hair done today. Not a single person noticed. It's been 6 months the last time I got my hair done. So just
great haircut, Maude.
I'd never got a haircut.
I can't tell if you have fewer pixels than you normally do. That's fine.
Oh no, am I a potato again? That sucks. Essentially, Viz has no Riz, and then Rizzy says, I hate myself because your name's Rizzy. All Riz. We got all Riz. That's true, Darren. Yeah, it is a superpower of mine exclusively. Good night, Moon's in the house saying, hello, how's it going? Really good. We're talking about the will of many, the many. Catch says, it's not cheating, it's knowing how to find the answers instead of just knowing the answers. All right, so in high school, yes, I could have studied harder. I didn't realize that I had ADHD tendencies, and so focusing was really difficult for me. I could have put in that work and gotten a better grade. The way I actually had my grades improve, an entire grade went up because I started complimenting my teachers. I would notice haircuts. It is a superpower of mine. I would notice things. I would notice behavior. I would see what was important to them, and I would try to make that important to me, to them. I got even better at this where I convinced these teachers that I wanted to do better. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be a really good student. And so I pulled my desk physically to touch their desk and looked at them as if I was to say, teach me.
This sounds a lot like you just manipulated your teachers.
Street smarts is what Maude is saying.
Exactly.
That's what Maude's saying. I understand what you're saying, Maude. I get it.
Now, did I go to university? No. Was my first contract at 20 years old 6 figures? Yes. Do I need charisma to do what I do? Yes. So the skill set that the books never taught me is the ones that I use every day, that I had to learn myself. Now, my mum's a psychologist, and when I told her this story, she felt sick, and she said the same thing. You have just manipulated a system. And I was like, I found another way. And I think out-of-the-box thinking is incredibly important. And we're calling it more manipulation from this point forward, more manipulation. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And I had to try and teach Trisha about more manipulation. I don't like more to nip that close together in a sentence, I'll be honest. And maybe we'll need to.
You added an N. You added an N.
Manipulation.
Manipulation.
Manipulation? That doesn't work as well. Manipulation. More manipulation. All right, cool. Yes, your hands up. Gikuyu, what's up?
Wow.
All right, so I would say that this has street smarts. It's just that in class 6, who is his teacher? It's this person who's like abjectly and very overtly racist and very ethnic. So like there's nothing that he can do that would ingratiate himself with the teacher except for completely staying in his, maybe going down a class would ingratiate himself to Dilf Tartus, but that's not what his goal is. And so that's why he's stuck. It's not because he could do anything with charisma that would get him up. It's not that he's not smart enough. It's just that he's hit a brick wall.
Right, and he's facing something that he hasn't. You don't want to manipulate the racists, that's for sure, unless it's to out themselves as being racist. Ali says, as someone with 5 letters after her name, I totally agree that book smarts only gets you so far. I recognize I may have pissed off a lot of people by confessing how my brain works, but it took me a very long time to realize that I was doing that. P.S. Mrs. Crouch, I didn't like any of your haircuts.
So it really was just manipulation.
No, she just didn't have it. Yes. That's not even the worst one.
You just flat lied to get ahead. That's what you did.
Yep.
You know, that's a trait of psychopathic people, right?
There is a Venn diagram where charisma and manipulation is very overlapped. And also charisma and sociopathy are very overlapped. And sociopathy and manipulation are very overlapped. I'm one that's, I've not killed, I haven't, God. What's going to get me into trouble?
So the book.
I have not started
You haven't started a cult? Is that what you're trying to say?
Jerry did that.
I've not. I just feel like I'm live and I shouldn't have to say it that I haven't ever killed someone, but here we are. I have not done that. So that's the little sector in that Venn diagram that I do not touch.
That should be easy for you to say.
Yeah, I don't want to get pinged by saying words like that.
Okay.
Stop explaining what says T-Bones.
But I have two things just to add.
Yes.
Yeah, I just like saying what you did with your school days was like easiest way to not lose is to not play the game. You played your own game.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And are you sure you're good at noticing haircuts?
You got one. Sure? You got one. It went from very short to very, very short. What do they use? A number 2? A number 3?
I don't know. They're just using machine, yeah.
I notice when Colleen gets more color in her hair.
Well, of course.
To be fair, it's hard to see people's actual, you only see a small screen. You don't get to see who's on.
Sometimes I get it though. Sometimes I get it. Jeff is saying that there's so many things that have been ripped off in this book, including the labyrinth. And the labyrinth was ripped off from which book, Jeff? He's not here. Yes, he is? No, he's not.
He's here. He's just not on camera.
He's here in spirit.
He said Deadly Education, I think.
Deadly Education, which is Naomi Novik's book? The one that you didn't like.
So Deadly Education is the one that it's ripped off from.
That's the YA one. They do labyrinths in that one. I didn't make it past the 3rd chapter.
Yeah, they do, like, the whole point of the school is to get through this whole, like, graduation maze ceremony where lots of things are trying to kill you and you're competing with everybody to get through it and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
It is true what P-Dog says, though. The labyrinth is also ancient Greek legend.
Yep.
Which fits the theme of the book.
Yeah.
Is that Theseus?
Still isn't good.
Yes.
Theseus
still isn't good.
And everyone says
the
Minotaur
word
here.
Labyrinth, the word labyrinth is, but like how it works in the book is nothing like the Greek legend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Yeah. The labyrinth doesn't move in the actual labyrinth.
Right.
It's
here it is.
Runner.
And Jeff was also saying that the word I was looking for was not manipulation. Thank you. It was influence. I feel a lot more comfortable with that, considering I would be classified as an influencer. So, hey, full circle. Yeah. Full circle. Yes. And then Ali says,
you don't like being classified as an influencer.
I hate it, but it's so much better than a serial manipulator, borderline sociopath. So we've got to find our sweet spot here.
We find a
lesser of two evils.
Ali Starp says, nah, kid, everyone lies. It's human. Yay. Actually, there was a really interesting thing there where lying was never taught. The part of human conditioning, human nature, is that kids will learn to lie on their own. Without fail, kids will learn to lie. And it's usually to get out of trouble. And that's how their brain creates lying. It's to avoid trouble. But that's something that's never taught. That's just what a human condition adopts on its own. I thought that was quite interesting. P-Dog also says, pretty privilege is real. I personally noticed huge improvements in how I get treated when I put some effort into my appearance. There you go, everyone. Goodnight Moon says, I have the hardcover version of this book and I like that cover over the paperback version. But I still haven't read the book yet. You just have both versions. That's so funny. I have every version. I totally forgot about that book. Oh, yeah, Deadly. I've already forgotten the name of it too and I just read it. And you said it already, Jeff, but no, it's fine.
Deadly Education.
Sure, I'll forget it in 5 more minutes.
Wait until the second half of the book. You'll see more ripped off books in there.
Really? Okay.
Yes, you will.
How comfortable is the corner that you've painted yourself into, says Toaster Poster. Agonizing. But would I do it again? Every time. Oh yeah, Ali says 100% true. Kids will lie to get out of trouble to protect themselves. It's survival. Colleen says, I'm treated differently now I'm old. What are some of the observations that you've had with this? Have you got an example?
Yeah, actually, a lot of times people get almost condescending. They want to help me, even if I don't need help. Yeah.
I'm guilty of that. I ask to help people all the time if I can, and they're like, "I'm fine," and I'm like, "I know. I just want you to know that I'm here if you need." I feel
Well,
like
I think it's okay because I think you get as much out of helping as being helped. And I don't want to deny someone the privilege if it will make them feel better or be better by helping me.
I have baggage because my grandmother died in front of me, and so I'm always looking for another way to help. And I also think that the elderly are like constantly neglected. So I like to do my little part. I do sneaky grocery buys. I'll like sneakily pay for their groceries, and usually they're kind of like in shock or they're very grateful. And one time I got yelled at. She screamed at me going, "I'm not homeless." I'm like, "I don't think you are. I just, oops, I bought them. It's fine. It's fine." So that's my baggage. Anyway, I know most people can't see, but you do have gorgeous hair. Yeah. Agree. Okay. Hey, let's get back into the topic because I have, oh my God, feel like I've confessed so much about me. All I'm trying to say is there's street smarts and book smarts. That's all I needed to say. That was the whole fucking sentence. We were talking about the pacing of the book, and something that I thought was really well done is, yes, there was excess of world building and exposition, and it was a lot of information, but then something really exciting happened. And I think that the prisoner was information overload, which went over my head. Then the fight was really cool. And then the orphanage and all of the stuff with Alkisco. I need to look at it now.
Alkisco.
Key score. When he's like, "Listen, this is what you need to know, and this is what we're doing, and this is what I've learned about you, and you like the bibliothèque, and you've learned," and I'm like, I don't care. And then there's the whole hijacking of the vehicle, and I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And then it's like, now you're going into montage mode, and here's this old guy who seems really important, and there's a way of words, you're going to have a chat in the hot tub, don't look it down, and you're going to go on this day trip with his daughter, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And then the fucking stadium explodes. Now, one of the things that I really wanted to talk about here was scale of mass event. I feel like 1/3 into the way of the first book, when we have 6,000 people die, 10,000 people die, it is like Independence Day, where the ship comes down and vroom, and it just blows things up in that time. While we've just found out he's a prince, while we've just found out that the head of the rebellion terrorist organization is his dad's friend, while we're figuring out that Sadosha keeps appearing like Sheik in The Legend of Zelda, where you're like, who are you? Are you good? Do I follow you? Are you not good? And then like cataclysmic event. Cheyenne said it way earlier, I believe, where it was like, you know, you had me at the Transvect fight, but that the stadium, like that, I was locked in from that moment. I remember walking around my neighborhood with Zelda, listening to it with my jaw hanging open. I was like, this is huge. This is like so traumatic as well, with just stadiums, thousands of people getting lit up and dying.
Yeah, no, it's like there was this the author of Silence of the Lambs. He had another book called Black Sunday, and it was about a terrorist event at a football stadium, where it was like they were trying to rain down a bunch of like darts on the stadium from a blimp, and it would have killed like thousands of people. It's like it's like a 9/11 type terrorist event, you know?
Yeah, you just like, what the hell? And he survives that. Not only that, but he even goes to talk to this man. What's this guy's name? Anyone know? I didn't commit to memory because he's already dead.
Melior.
Malior?
Oh,
Malior.
Esteban.
Malior.
So Steve.
Yeah.
Steve. Yeah, Steve.
And
Call him
my
Steve.
friend Steve.
If his name is Esteban, Steve.
And that was a really interesting moment as well, where it's like, this was the key to a lot of information. This was someone who I would have thought would have played much more of a pivotal role in this book, who was continually trying to convince Viz to jump side. Hey, the hierarchy is not it. Beautiful quotes in that moment. And I wrote one in Fable, but I was so locked in with all of it. Silence is a statement, Diago. Inaction picks a side. And when those lead to personal benefit, they are complicity. The hierarchy does not break you all at once. It teaches you to bend until you no longer remember standing tall, was another great quote. Yeah. What was I can't remember the one that I had in Fable, but he was saying all of these things. And it really was a very black and white view of this all. And I feel like Viz, having lived in the Canatens, what is it called again?
Katenin.
And he even said, you know, like he was fleeing, he had no home. This is before the orphanage, and he stopped by a farm, and they helped him, you know. They provided him with enough means to continue living for a little bit longer, and that's why he's still alive. And he's like, you cannot bulk put everyone in the one category of bad, because that's not how this works. And Esteban was essentially saying silence is choosing a side, hierarchy is complicity, like they are bad, we have to burn it to the ground. And I think, Cheyenne, you also said that it was like a Thanos moment. It is that sort of, I don't think totalitarian is the right word to, but like the
authoritarian.
Yeah, but this just justification of eradication to build again, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're talking about was it like accelerationism, where it's like the idea is you have to burn everything down to basically do revolution.
Yeah.
You need revolution too.
Yeah.
But it's always, my thing is, who are you to say that you're allowed to wipe out all of these people? And how is the blood of all of those people on your hand justified? How can you really justify it? And I think Viz is saying the same thing, where he's like, that's not the way to do it. I will not join you. I've seen what you've done. This is terrorism. Like, essentially, this is terrorism, and this isn't how to make a change. You are going about this in such a, you know. Yes, Darian.
No, it reminded me of what was the final Hunger Games book?
Catching Fire.
Yeah. Where at the end of it, spoiler alert, they were like saying, okay, we're gonna have the children from District 1 running the Hunger Games now. I was like, this is not justice, this is just revenge, you know. This isn't achieving anything except just bloodlust,
destruction.
That's the same mentality there. And this wants nothing of that. He just wants to get away from it all. He is like, you know, I'm not interested in fighting. I just want to go away. And you guys are trying to pull me into a fight I don't want to be in.
But in a fight that's like, for what? P-Dog said, that was my first holy shit moment. Thousands of people just exploding into pink mist from psychic energy. Just imagine being in the SoFi Stadium and that happening. I was there not long ago. Oh my God, that would be so bad.
Yeah, that's a terrifying image.
Oh, this is a really great conversation. Jeff says, names you can't pronounce hurt stories. I do feel, if we are comparing to Red Rising, and I actually had this thought, Mustang, Severo, Virginia, Darrow, they stick. I can see them. They are tangible. I can say the name. I absolutely noticed that you need somewhat of a simplicity. When I was going over the character list here, and I just thought, I agree, I think it went way too far to honor sort of this Roman heritage here. But Viz, great. Single syllable, fantastic. Telemus, I can get there. Kiskor, fuck, this has been a bone to pick the entire thing. Lannistia, the wrong emphasis is going on the wrong syllable most of the time. Tim?
I was going to say, because remember I pointed out that they have the glossary in the back of the book, and every single time I had to look.
100%.
And it happened.
Oh, we've lost him. That was bad. Is it me?
Counterpoint. That's how people interact with my real name. So like this is just my experience every single day. All right. So like this is one of those things where sometimes you're right. It is an inconvenient to learn something that you don't have to interact with on a daily basis. But like sometimes that's the way the world is, right? Like and what's your best effort that you're gonna make? Just call him Al in your head. Right?
I will say though, but Gikuyu, if you were in a room, you would be in a room with a Sam and maybe a Nick and possibly a Katie. And that's a lot easier to be like, got it, because these other names aren't using as much sort of, I guess, space in the brain. I'm happy I've got the bandwidth to absolutely dedicate to learning your name. And actually, I use it a few times in tonight's stream because I was making a point to do so. When every single Lannistia, Sedocia, which is not how I would have spelled it in my head, Reclusia, Viridius I'm okay with. Viridius is sticking. I know who Viridius is. But Calidus, I was like, is it Calidus, Calidum, Cassius, Iden, Equa was not spelt like that in my head. Emissa, I don't even know if I'm getting that right. I've noticed that if I'm trying to, like Tim says, every time the name comes up, adapt a little bit. Every time the name comes up, double check it, figure it out. I'm just listening to it and it washes over me, but I'm not there with it. Like I'm not able to use that name and be like, you're a fully fledged character. It is a sound that occurs when they are brought up. Yes, Darian. And then Vaden, sorry, your hand's up too.
Yeah. I would just say, I think that's more because of the writing style than the name. Because like there are other books with like, more difficult names, I think that stick with us, like Kvothe and Name of the Wind, or well, I don't know if anybody read it, but like the Imaro series, like, those like African names are a little harder to pronounce, but those characters remain with me versus this. And I think it's just down to the writing style with the pacing is just a little bit off. The exposition dumps really kind of, a little jarring.
There is really so much. Yeah. Okay. So you're contending with a really complex world building and a complex name system and a complex understanding of what the will actually does. Yeah, I hear you with that. Cheyenne dropped us a really cool quote from that moment as well. The power to protect is the highest of responsibilities, Diago. When a man is given it, his duty is not only to the people he thinks are worthy, but the power to protect by killing everyone else. Who are you protecting? You choose who you protect. I don't know. The whole thing's...
I can go over that too, but...
Yeah.
But first with the other thing, just the name thing. Yeah, I personally, I do agree that it's difficult to get into the names when they're so, when the way they're pronounced and the way they're written seems so distinct. But it just helped me get into the book, and personally at least, because I like that it's like it definitely immerses me into a different world. Like I know I'm in a different world when I'm reading this book, when it's in this book, and like it's helpful because actually, something else I was thinking about, I can't remember exactly anymore, but yeah, I just find it to be used to actually be helpful to me, because then I know that I'm actually being transported.
I hear you on that. And there is like, it's not like these words are just plucked from obscurity. These names are very much of sort of like, yeah, all of them are. Do people complain about the names in Lord of the Rings, especially in The Hobbit? I remember struggling with them when I first read it as a child, but love them now. Tom Bombadil. What a great name. But I have struggled with some of the massive elven names that come up. And I'm like, isn't one of them just called Erwan? Or is that a grocery store in LA that's really bougie? That Erwan sounds like... Yes, Tim.
I was just going to say on the name thing too, is like, at least as far as like the book club book goes, and most of the books I've read, like the most other difficult names, like for example, the Chiss, when we just read the Thrawn trilogy, right?
Yes.
The full name of those characters is incredibly difficult.
Yes,
but
it's
they
an
all
entire
have
alphabet.
a familiar shortened version of the name, like Thrawn.
Yeah.
Right? That's not his full name, but that's what everybody calls him. I think if this book had that, it wouldn't be as difficult. Like you could find their full key score name, and then everybody calls him Al.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or something. It would be so much more different when you don't have to be like, how do you say this word every 5 minutes?
Although one could argue then that a nickname gives a sort of camaraderie or relaxed feel around that. And that's the antithesis of what this book is about, where it is about status and respect, and assumedly like using full names is required. So I do hear you in that, but it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. It feels like it puts more weight than is absolutely necessary on these names, especially when they have 18 of them.
It does, yeah, and then the title, and then Magnus and Quintus and Sextus and all that kind of stuff, and then another one, and then their first name, and then their last name. But sometimes it's only their last name, and then I'm struggling. I'm not afraid to say it. It's listening to this book and not being able to read it, and just having the words "wash." Yeah, I'm like, all right. I don't have time to ponder.
This is like Latin derived and everything, but how are we with like names from like Stormlight Archives? Because those are a little more unfamiliar. Sometimes people go with multiple names, especially like the the Parshman, those kind of things.
Yes,
So
name one of the what are one of his names?
Yeah, Eshonai. That's yeah.
I meant like the one that deferred. He had one name and then he named himself in Bridge 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shen to Relaine.
Relaine. Shen. There you go, Shen to Relaine. Ali says, is this author British? I thought so because of the European, especially UK vibe to the book. He's Australian. Something that I can't wait to bring up with him is when they were talking numbers about what? How are?
Aussie, oi.
When they were talking about the number of the population, it was around 24 million. That's around the population of Australia. And I was wondering if he chose that number because it was something that he was able to, like, something that he'd lived and he understood that scope. Like, it was wild for me to go from a country with 25 million to 250 million. I'm like, what do you mean there's 10 times more the people on roughly the same, like not extraordinary different landmass? That for me was like, whoa. Colleen says, I have a theory that the Irish decided to keep the vowels and let the Welsh have the consonants. I love that. The guy with 3 names, the several names for groups, but also the way it jumps from descriptive names to a jumble. Oh, that's in response to something else.
We're talking about the Lycanius trilogy, James Islington's other series.
Yeah, Michael Kramer narrates that one. I bought it and then I returned it immediately. Oh, okay, that's a good thing to do. I couldn't do any more Michael Kramer. No, I'm thinking of the...
No, you're right. You're right. That was Michael Kramer, and it's not his best narration. I admit I'm listening to it on 2.5 speed, and it's too slow.
Oh no, got it.
Oh,
okay. So, let's try to get set up with what's happening in this book. Usually I love an academy landscape. This is another, I froze in the members chat. Sorry, that's my face for the next little bit. What we didn't have, what was vastly different was the academy substance, I suppose. So Red Rising was an outdoor sort of, we're completely changing the entire scope, and it's summer camp that's brutal. And that was sort of like the one trial that happened to become a peerless Scard. Here, it's way more of an academy setting. There's different classes, classrooms. There is a building. There are different teachers. There is the typical stereotypical Snape character where for no good reason, a teacher hates the protagonist. And we are having that with, wrote it down, Wrote it down. It's got a K in it.
There's a K in there.
Praeceptodiltatus?
Nicaeus.
Nicaeus. Oh, Nicaeus. Yeah.
Nicaeus. All right, I finally got my notes here. Strong exposition set up using his day job and his night fighting secret to discuss the hierarchy. Yes, I'm a little lost at why his orphanage hates him when he seems like a really likable guy. Who is this man with 3 different names? Telemus, Quintus, Quistor. I could not get it. Conversation about scale, 1/3 of a stadium perishing due to a massive terrorism attack, and you are sitting straight up and paying attention. Nicaeus is Snape. The audiobook, there are teachers with Aussie accents. That's something that I wanted to bring up. One of the female teachers was like, oh, g'day. Now listen here in this classroom. And I was like, what? We have an Australian teacher. I was like, I like that. That's when I looked up the narrator and I was like, that Aussie accent was too good. Where is this guy from? He's Scottish. And then I have the start of a list of the same things as Red Rising. Praetorians, Octavia as a name, Telemus, too close to Telemanus, the Academy of the Elite. I have more in the disc. No, that's a document. Comparisons to Red Rising. The Will of the Many is often recommended to Red Rising fans due to similar themes of low-born protagonists infiltrating a rigid elite society, a Greco-Roman inspired stratified world, and an unethical ruling power. Now, while Red Rising is a sci-fi space opera and The Will of the Many is a fantasy story with a unique willpower-based magic system, both feature deep character-driven plots with betrayal, revenge, and a struggle against oppression, making for a similar, addictive, and epic reading experience. Some of the shared elements, the lowborn protagonist, even though we've just talked about the fact that he ain't lowborn. But then he becomes an orphan and starts from the bottom again. The elite academy setting. A significant portion of both stories take place within a prestigious academy where the protagonists undergo rigorous training and navigate intense internal politics, also while being insanely gifted. They got picked first for the baseball team. They won the, chemistry award. Like, these guys, doesn't matter. If this is a modern day setting, this person's the ducks of the school. Do you guys have ducks? Ducks? DUX?
They go quack here. That's what our ducks do.
Valedictorian. They go dick. Valedictorian and a ducks. DUX is what we call it, the ducks. I don't know what the history of that word is. I heard it, was like, that'll never be me, and so forgot it. I didn't look into it. But if anyone wants to do a quick Google search on where the word ducks comes from, DUX, that could be a good tangent. There's also the Greco-Roman inspired world. Both the fictional society of Red Rising and the world of The Will of the Many draw heavily from ancient Greco-Roman aesthetics and societal structures. And then there's the corrupt elite, a revenge and rebellion, character-driven narrative, and the themes of betrayal and power. Now,
do you want to know what it means, Maude?
Yeah.
It comes from British English. It's the top pupil in a class or school. Its word origin is Latin for leader. That's all I got.
That's fun. Do you know what I always thought it was?
So literally valedictorian.
Someone said ducks. Don't tell me twice. I figure someone's throwing something at my head. Cha-ching. Where's my ba-boom? That's fine.
I think we just call them nerds.
Shout out to the ducks of my high school, Nilmini Wigie Munige. Hope you're doing well. There you go, Gikuyu. I sat next to Nilmini on the train and I was like, I am not leaving until I've learnt how to say your name properly. And she was Pakistani and it's Nilmini Wigie Munige, and I got it. And that was very important to me because she was the ducks of the school at the end. I could smell success. No, she was great. She was actually really, really lovely.
Did you cheat off of her?
Sorry?
Did you cheat off of her?
No. She was in Franklin, I was in Osborne. And I only cheated in year 8. We weren't in any of the same classes in grade 8. I only did it in year 8. But the most brazen one that I ever did was in the German test. Literally never needed to use that ever. This is the thing. Like, I knew it was a temporary thing. I knew it wasn't like anything that was that actually counted towards what we called the OP, which is your GPA. I didn't cheat at all. But I did try to get my grades up through teachers. But I did not cheat. Is that considered cheating? Fun, then. Is that considered cheating?
It didn't count. Yeah.
No, because I didn't cheat on a test, but I did convince my teacher that I wanted a good grade bad enough that they just gave it to me. That's not cheating. That's not cheating. That's clever. That's just using a different part of the brain. What was I saying? Shout out to Nomini.
So the school, like the academy or whatever it is. Yeah. To me, that was when the book actually started to like take off and actually get good. To me.
I love an academy setting.
Very far into it.
Okay, so he punches the class 6, Ivan, I don't know. Punches him in the nose, breaks his nose. It's reinforced that, and this is where I think is really interesting, this class system that it is dictated in the school academy as well. You cannot touch someone in a higher class than you. Like, it really is an otherism put up where it's like...
It's like military. You can't punch your ranking officer.
100%. So I find that dynamic to be quite interesting. I also wish we were learning more in the classrooms. I always think class is a really great way to get exposition happening because it's an authentic way to teach us, the reader, while our protagonist is learning. You don't agree with me, Darian?
No, just like, yeah, you're right. The classes were just like going like really deep into a magic system I cared nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you're right. It should have been the best way to give you exposition, but there's no history class or anything. It's just like, okay, you do this type of la 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 with it's sympathetic.
Well, it was what we'd already heard. We'd already gone over it earlier when we had that montage with Lavinia, Latikiticus, the L word.
Anytime they started going into the mechanics of a magic system, I tune out. I really don't care about magic systems.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Darian. I don't think it was really that interesting as well. I did post a link to what, like the brass tacks of what the magic system is, how it works, and you get that all in the books. I think that's better way to consume it. I would recommend that.
My tune out. So.
Cheyenne says, there are certain books that I cannot look at the same because I know exactly what fan fiction they came from. I actually think, Cheyenne, a lot of these books are somewhat subtle enough that they've completely changed it. Like Ali Hazelwood did her Raylo fan fiction and now it's a movie and they cast Daisy Ridley's husband to play the man, which I thought was very, very funny. But that did not feel like a Star Wars fan fiction at all. It's a STEM research book and I loved it. And not once did I think that it had that dynamic at all. Another book, and I wonder if anyone else has read it, something Rose Soto, Rose in Chains. My friend said, I'm desperate to talk about this book. And so I read it in 2 days. And she's like, what did you think? And I was like, there's some parts I really didn't like. And there's other parts which I really, really did like. And she goes, it was based on Dramione. So it was a Harry Potter world-esque thing. If the Death Eaters won, and it was between Draco and Hermione. And I'm like, well, there you go. Same thing, alchemized. Because it's originally a Draco Hermione fanfiction. I've already pre-ordered it, Cheyenne. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm good. I could see that immediately from the cover. I didn't at all. Man, I'm so daft when it comes to those sorts of things. Violet Toe says, most magic systems are cool and make you want to have that power, but I want nothing to do with this magic. Violet, I cannot agree with you more. When Harry Potter is learning magic, or even freaking screaming plant, like, so interesting, so cool. I didn't really learn or understand really what Red Rising's Academy taught them, except for leadership and strategy, like how to run an armada. but usually in a magic system. I really like Stormlight Archive's magic system. I think that's really cool. And now I really like the fact that we're learning more and more into the factions of different, the different types of magic that someone can possess. I'm really digging that, but I think that magic is so intrinsically built into the world building, and the world building is what's really, really cool, and the magic's just a byproduct of that. Jayjork says, I realize I've got a road rage problem. Oh no, this is going to be a joke, isn't it? You always drive-by joke me. I realized I got a road rage problem when my 5-year-old daughter shouted, "Pick a lane, diaper head," while sitting in my shopping cart. Thanks, bud. P-Dog says some people... Yeah.
On the magic system, before we hop off of that, I think this is another example of what makes the academy the academy. It's a proving ground for whether or not you can become a good person in the hierarchy, because it's all about math, which is what the magic system is all about.
Oh, that's why I don't like it.
And that's what you're learning. Yeah. So sorry, I apologize.
It's like I just read Blood something over Brighthaven. I can't ever commit that name of that book to my memory. Anyway, I read it, and it's very, very science-based, and I did not care. I didn't care. The Name of the Wind, that's kind of like physics-based magic. It made sense, which was great, but like, no, the Blood over Brighthaven was really like yeah, I don't know. Magic's magic. Like, make it be magical and wonderful. Like magic that comes out of a wand from a spell. I love it. What is the magic here? How would you describe it? Because they are moving blocks of stone in a labyrinth.
It's the Force.
It's the Force.
It seems very nebulous. Yeah, it's not like it can do a lot of different things, but it's not really. I mean, they kind of explained a little bit in the class. They like talked about directional and relational and something else they can do. But the third one, I forgot. But yeah, it's very, very much like, hey, it does whatever. It's very much like on the soft.
Yeah. It's the Force, because you can use it to see if you're blind.
It's the Force.
It's literally called magic. I'm like Cheyenne. I don't need to know the mechanics of it. It's magic. Exactly. That's the explanation.
What Forlorn Knight says, it's the Force with a splash of what the plot needs.
Well said, Forlorn Knight.
That's what it is. It's the Force. The only difference between it and the Jedi is the fact that you have to cede it to the people above you. But otherwise, it's the Force.
The magic system.
It's midichlorians.
Hi, Kev on TikTok. Kev's just dropped by and said, "Hi, Maude." And Ice School Brulio says, "Loved ya, Maude." T. Casarino said, "I'm 75% through my reread right now. It's so good." And then corrected me on Melior. Mark Jason Ali is in the YouTube saying, "Hey, Maude, how are you?" Steph Press said, "First time I've watched The Hobbit. Oh, I heard pronounced names, so I was good on understanding names." Oh, that's fun. I was a little bit behind there. Sorry about that. Okay, so the magic system, the academy, actually kind of weaker. Now, Cheyenne, you might have to tune out because I'm about to talk about chapter 33. We want to talk about, Jeff, as well. You were saying so many things are borrowed from this book. There is a book that I literally just finished reading, which was about our protagonist that had to infiltrate the kingdom so she had access to the ruins. So she had to explore the ruins because there was crucial information in said ruins. Then there was booby traps and all these sort of things that she had to navigate through the ruins to get the information. At that stage, book 2, I had tuned the fuck out because it was actually really, really boring. And it was a 15-hour book when it should have been 4. But because I just heard a book which was exploring ruins, and then like 5 days later, another book exploring ruins, it kind of bothered me that it was like a copy paste of a scenario that was happening. So I kind of do hear you on that. But he has been, where was the actual seed first planted in terms of Viz needing to go to the ruins? This is the whole story about Alkistor is not his name.
Alkistor.
Alkiskor, his brother. And we're learning a little bit more information about the fact that his brother apparently had decided to jump off a cliff. That's not the case at all, according to Alkiskor. He's like, I know my brother. P.S., and this would have been good to know, we developed code and language, and we would leave each other messages in code. And he was writing to me all the time, but I gave him this, like, you know, the secret pen that he should have used, and he never used that stylus. Turns out he's been sending me letters time and time again, and it wasn't until like the 10th letter that I found out that he was leaving me messages. I don't think that he decided to com sui. I absolutely think that there was a murder. Now, what I found very interesting is that when he explored the ruins, there are people who are barely alive. I feel like they're in a sap-esque type state, whose eyes have been singed out, a la Stormlight Archive with the blade. But the fact that Lanistia's eyes were taken out. She was around, something kind of happened at that same time. The brother thought that he'd killed her. Wasn't true at all. She survived it. Her memory's gone completely. Conspiracy. I thought that maybe they would have used magic and medicine to try and like repair her brain tissue. No, they're sending in Viz, a kid who's never met before, to fight and find the legacy and the secrets of the Academy. Now, Blue Shell reckons it's a sacrifice. Well, the fact that they've established seeding will, they obviously are taking this life force from people to sustain power. So I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility at all. I would look into how many students have been disappearing over the years. Have any other key influential figures gone missing? What is the secret that they're hiding? And it has to be some sort of ritual because it's religion, right? Are we all kind of on the same page?
There's this tableau of people like spiked with obsidian swords. Like, you know, that's not random at all.
I like what Jeff said here. In Rune Lords, there's a theme of needing to care for the people who are providing power for you. This should be a bigger part of the book. No, they're exploiting the people that are giving them power. And I think that that's what this ritual is all about. Rizzy said the Sith seeded their force to create the rule of two. This book does borrow a lot, but so does Red Rising, and I loved those books. Byler says, I love the bit where Viridius says 33 is unlucky, and then chapter 33 is crazy. P-Dog says, Alkiskor told Viz to investigate those ruins. He also thinks that there's others much farther away, way too far for Viz to get to, explore, and get back in one night. So as of chapter 35, Viz is still unsure how he'll get to those ruins, knowing that his entry alone causes and sets off an alarm. And he's got roughly 10 to 15 minutes before. I said it was an easy one, and it's not. Viridius and this other clergy type member is my guess. I think is some sort of head of religion that Viz hasn't met yet. They get access to that alarm going off. Why do you think Iden decided to not rat out Viz? Viz comes in with a bleeding hand, looking pretty worse for wear. All of a sudden, all the teachers are on the lookout for someone who has a suspicious injury, and he manages to fall over with a knife in his hand at breakfast the next day to cover that one up. Wicked Bob says, good God, is that how Alkiskor's name is spelled? No wonder people are having trouble with it. Yeah, looking at that word is wild. I would be like, Ulsicor. If I were reading it.
I just read
Ulsicor.
The girl that he's supposed to meet, the guy's daughter, and hers is even worse.
Equa?
Yeah, that's
Equa.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Her name, Equa?
Given how it's spelled.
A-E-Q-U-A. Equa. Duh.
Equa.
Blame Latin, all right? Blame Latin.
That makes perfect sense.
I thought it was E-Q-U-A. Equa.
Yeah, I think the reason why Iden likes or keeps it secret for Fizz is because, well, two things. One, obviously, like they work together really, really well, and on that in the labyrinth. Like
they got disqualified. They were saying a language.
They got disqualified.
Well, technically they won, but like they basically said like you don't put in the records. That's all. But like they still won. But besides that, also like he was able to speak the same language as him, and his comes from a place where his later place was where like this. His place was taken over, was destroyed essentially, and they have that kind of in common. Though he doesn't know that of course Viz is a prince and of a similarly destroyed place, but he does respect the fact that he knows his language, which is apparently dead language.
There is camaraderie there.
Yeah, sometimes you have to, trauma bond or go through an activity together and succeed well. Aqua is Barbie girl. She's a bit of a Hermione where it's like, I got from class 6 to class 4. Is that easy? No. It's very difficult to do, actually. And he's like, okay. I'm like, all right. Now, Emissa, class 3 student at the academy, spends time with Vic mucking about in the academy stables. I thought she was running the stables. I thought she was a teacher at first. It turns out this is a chick that originally saw him in the infirmary when he got injured from the transvect attack. She's got dimples. Yep. I have a visual descriptor of her. Apparently she's cute as a button. Viz has got a crush on her, but she's class 3, so And he's just like, hey, I just need something to look forward to at the moment. I've got very little hope, and so her face is making me this is making my time in the academy slightly less unbearable. Equa is way more of a Hermione than Viz. Yes. But it is that trait. I do think, and actually, Academic, you were disagreeing with me initially when I was saying that he was seeking his peers' validation. There were so many times where anytime they were like, hey, good job with the labyrinth, and he was like, hey, thanks. I don't like that I'm so excited that, you praised my work. But at the same time, I kind of understand. that. I get it.
Like he does mention that like because of what's happened to him, essentially he hasn't, and because being ostracized at the orphanage and everything else, he hasn't had a friend in a long time. So he wants that. He still wants it. He just hasn't had opportunity essentially. So now that he's here, he's talking to people, even though he's on a mission. He's making friends to some degree. He's not supposed to. He isn't. So it's I'm sure it'll come up and interfere with his mission, but like he's making friends to some extent.
He's also making enemies. Well, I mean, he's okay, but he did punch that guy in the nose. Blue Shell says, yeah, we need some comedic relief. Cheyenne was like, Equa was like, what? Like it's hard going from class 6 to class 4. Yeah, it is actually. It is. I quickly wanted to talk about maybe a lack of goal, a lack of purpose with Viz. And I think someone had mentioned that they were struggling a little bit with this because it was like, is he trying to survive? He's now kind of like looped into this guy's whodunit. But it's like, the hierarchy is so established. They're on the brink of war, which that would make a little bit more sense with where everything is going. But at the moment, what's Viz's direction? What's his purpose? He's not siding up with the rebellion terrorist side of it, the Aqueous. Is that what they're called? The Aqueous. He's not siding up with them, but he's also not wanting to be a part of the hierarchy. So what is it that Viz wants? Are we in his head enough as a first-person book for Anguius, thank you, the Anguius. But it's like, what's he trying to do? At least with Red Rising, the objective was utterly clear. Infiltrate the Golds, become one of them, and then disrupt the system from the inside and collapse it. He doesn't want to be a part of the Anguius. He doesn't really want to be a part of the hierarchy. So what's he doing? Do we know?
He doesn't have a purpose.
He just wants to get as far away from the hierarchy as possible.
Yeah, he's in the academy for the hierarchy.
He's literally being dragged around because he wants to be a hermit.
Yeah.
Well, so
like,
I think it's a little unclear. Basically, like he wants to not see Will, and he wants it to not take Will. So that's his main goals. But everything's doing for that purpose. But yeah, it's not super clear how he's gonna change those goals. But I mean, I'm sure those will change because we ever had this speech from his friend or his former friend that was like, "Hey, you can't just avoid the system, or you can't just work with the system. You have to either take it down or you're part of it. So there's going to be like a breaking point at some point where he has to choose, and he'll eventually have to either take the system down or somehow remake it. But like you're right though, he's had a call to action. He decided to disregard it, and then he's going to get it again at some point to actually have a stronger motivation. But right now his motivation is not as strong as it should be for protagonist at this point.
So now he's the reluctant chosen one?
Yeah, he's still reluctant. Yeah, he hasn't actually taken the call. So,
but what does he gain out of helping Elkiskor?
So,
access?
What Steph said.
What? So
he gains the Telemus name.
Yeah. Exactly, Steph.
Yeah, but part of it is if he gets ranked high enough, his plan is to choose working like in an embassy or something far away, so he could just just get a position where he's like far away from everything. That's his logic.
Elkiskor offered a deal where he will not
flimsy.
That's not a strong through line. Like when you are
flimsy. Wait, I'm
what's up, academic?
It's but like no, his main motivation is that he does not want to be beholden to the hierarchy, right? So like if it's just a means, like being in that diplomatic position is a means to not have to cede or receive will, right? So long as he can be true to himself, which is someone who does not receive or cede will, then he's a happy person. And now he's no longer on the run because he has the Telemus name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's in the system, but he's skirting the system. That is his entire motivation of going through this whole rigmarole.
It's still flimsy to me.
Sakura, I agree. Sakura the Explorer, thank you so much for the follow. First time chatter as well, saying, I find him too emotionally disconnected from the other characters and his own goals to care what happens to him. I do feel like I'm a little bit more understanding of Darrow's objective because it is so clear from the get-go with somewhat of a support system around him to want to see him win. I feel like the isolation of Viz and the only person in his life that knew his history that would have wanted to see him as an ally made him push the stylus into his neck and end the life. I am a little bit lost on direction. Now, we've had 2 hands up. Darian, you did, and Jeff, you were doing that, so I immediately assume you want to participate in the conversation. Jeff, I'm going to go to you and then Darian.
I guess I'm just going to say this. Not wanting to participate in something is not a motivation.
Thank you. I agree.
I just don't want to be part of it. And
then don't be our protagonist.
Right. Then don't be the center of the story. Like, if everything that's happening to you is being forced on you and you aren't able to do anything and you really don't want to do anything, then why are we reading about you?
Yeah. Well, Steph said it best. Why doesn't he just run off and live in the woods somewhere?
That's what he wants to do, and the means has been presented to him now, really.
Like, he could have done that at any point. At any point, he could have just been like, peace, I'm out.
P-Dog says if he does well enough at the academy, he can get a spot at the distant embassy and not have to cede or receive will. I see that that's what the goal is, but I agree with Jeff that it's not really a strong enough motivation for a protagonist to be sharing the story. Yes?
But also, real quick, that's still participating in the system that is using will. Like, that is still being part of the hierarchy and still, like, morally, in my mind, that isn't any better.
And that's Melior's entire argument. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Darren, you were saying that he doesn't have a lot of choice when Elkiskor finds him.
He's thinking about running the instant that Elkiskor shows up at his desk at the orphanage. But then once he shows up, he's really there's nowhere for him to run. If he ran, Elkiskor will try to find him. So he basically gets to the point where it's like between a rock and a hard spot, and it's like, well, this is my best option is to join with him, and maybe I can work this into some sort of advantageous position. But
what if
he doesn't really have a whole lot of choice?
So I think what doesn't really work for me is he's trying to get off the grid, so to speak, and then Alkizkor is like, hey, we're going to get you into the academy. I'm going to adopt you because I have a very strong goal and drive and I need you to get information. I kind of wish we've sort of seen Viz go around the Katenin and go into the bibliothèque. If there is a book or a body of work or something that he really wanted to find answers for and it didn't exist anywhere except in the academy. So he needed to be granted access to hold or get that information, or he had learnt about the ruins and he wanted to get to the ruins. So he needed access to the academy. So when Alkiska comes to you saying, I'm going to adopt you and we're going to enter you into the academy, he's like, bingo, there's my ticket to ride. I also think
that would have made perfect sense.
Okay, right. Because I think that the thing that is missing here is Viz's, not integrity, but like, you know, his driving force, because that is lacking, and I'm walking in his shoes, you know, he is saying I, and I'm like, where are we going, buddy? So yeah, okay, that's really, really interesting feedback and possibly something that I have been struggling with. You said it best as well, Sakura, that it's just like, help me care about you a little bit more. But when you don't care for anything, how are we supposed to join you in that? So that's interesting. I am hearing, though, that the I Sling a Lot is going to happen in the last 100 pages, and part 3 picks up more and more as well. Hearing that, I'm really excited to tackle the second half of this book. It is not out. It's not over for me yet at all. I do like this kind of book. I like this kind of story. I don't hate Viz at all, but yeah, I'm not understanding his goal, and I think Pierce did a really clear job with instigating a strong objective, and the fact that fucking his I was going to say fucking his wife, but what I meant to say is his wife was his motivator for so long that it's almost like Mustang had to take a seat while he continued to mourn his wife and to try and uphold her legacy. So what she was fighting for ended up becoming what he was fighting for. So he adopted sort of like what she felt was worth dying for. And then when he started sort of infiltrating the Golds and making friends and admiring other people, then he was like, oh, wow, I've infiltrated and like, I don't want to kill everyone here because there are some good Golds. Blake7798, first time chatter. Thanks for lurking. Glad you're participating. Says, I don't think Viz understands his goal yet. We're halfway through the book though. When do you think is a good time to figure that one out? That's sort of like an end of part 1 thing for me. I think part 1 is like, this is who I am. This is what I want. And we're halfway through the book, and I would like to learn that a little bit more. P-Dog says he's 17, coming of age and figuring out what he wants. No, he's the protagonist of our story.
Also, I do think Viz knows what he wants. We don't know what he wants. He's known what he wants since he was like abandoned, right, or orphaned. He doesn't. What we want changes, Jeff. It's not that this is the ultimate thing that he wants, but he knows what he wants right now. His goal is to escape. As a boy, that's what his goal is, right? So we'll see what this coming of age story changes that desire into, and maybe we'll understand his desires and motivations more.
I feel that wanting to get off the grid and escape and go is contradictory to him wanting to win, excel, be the best.
Yeah, if he wants to be below the radar, why is he trying to win the academy?
Because he can't get the position he wants.
Also, he's been tasked.
He can't get below the radar anymore.
That's counter to everything he wants.
That's why we're a little confused as the reader.
Everything he wants.
It's too late. He is Ctenicus. The entire society hierarchy knows who he is. He saved 10,000 people from being killed during the Naumachia, right? So like it's too late. People know who he is. Senators are coming to visit him at Keyscore's estate, right? So now the best he can possibly hope for is some service position in seclusion. So like everything he's sort of been forced upon him.
Yeah, but if he's so well known, he's never going to be in seclusion, ever.
And I honestly, I wish
a million miles away.
I wish in his head we saw the implication of becoming almost like more of a well-known name. I wish he was like, cool, now I've got to refigure out, like, how do I exploit this? How do I use this to my gain? I was supposed to be under the radar. I've done the exact opposite to that. So how do I use like this legacy that I'm now reluctantly building to my advantage and see him work that out more? I feel like he's got this reputation and this name, and we're seeing some of his peers resent him for that, but we're not actually seeing that much of another implication from it. And I did have the similarity question of who else entered a school with a recognition of surviving something that they didn't set out to do. And of course it was Harry Potter. Harry Potter goes to the school and he's a legend, a household name, and he didn't even know that he was famous. And kind of like dealing with the fame of that situation. I'm like, hey, if he's going to be labeled a hero, like I want him front and center on a podium. You know, Chewie didn't get the medal, but Han and Luke got the medal. You know, like having those sort of like that recognition and accolade, and him being like, I have been an orphan, I have been anonymous, I've literally been invisible. It's right there. It's right there. And now I have to undo that because the spotlight is on me. That's fascinating. That's interesting. I mean, I don't feel like we've touched upon that at all. Cheyenne says, I was waiting for his fuck moment of realizing that he's now gained popularity. What do I do now? Exactly, Cheyenne. Exactly. Chewie didn't have a shirt to pin it on.
He had a bandolier. You could have pinned it on his bandolier.
True.
That's a terrible excuse.
Wasn't his initial oh fuck moment like when he gets the crypt or whatever it's called?
I thought his oh fuck moment was the first transvex hostage situation.
Recognized him and knew who he was from his past. That should have been his oh fuck moment.
With being Diago.
He was. That was a huge Diago. Like it's like what? but like I'm talking about from the fame specifically where people were pressing at him to get to him, right?
But it's
at
not
the crypts or whatever it's called.
It's not one but two massive things where he's been hailed a hero. Like that's reluctant hero versus chosen one. I think this is reluctant hero is really fascinating, and we're really not getting to the bottom of it. We're not really getting him to process how this has upended his whole plans with it all. I don't know.
Yeah.
He ultimately wants to bring down the hierarchy and literal pyramid scheme. He just doesn't know how he can do it without betraying his sense of honor. If he was okay with murder, then he would have joined the Anguis immediately. Yeah, true. Yes, Vaden?
I just want to mention about the motivation. Like I know we talked about it a lot, but just because people keep comparing it to Darrow. I know one thing we talked about in the books for the Red Rising was that we did complain a lot about Darrow's motivation. Remember, initially, as you mentioned, he wasn't really he had a mission, which was to fulfill Eo's dream, but it wasn't his dream, and he didn't really care that much about it. He was really driven in terms of working hard and all that, but he didn't actually have the passion for it. But eventually, he later on, got into it. But that took a while. Like I think it would say much. I don't know how long it would take for this book to take for Viss to get his motive. For Viss to really get into it, really get into what he wants to, besides just avoiding the spotlight and doing the whole will thing. But like that was a complaint we had in the books when we were discussions for Red Rising. It was
okay, so I kind of like that in the sense that it's like Viz was raised to be a prince. He was learning 10 different languages to be fluent in that. He was learning Vaden, great argument for why Red Rising kind of stinks too. He was learning to be a diplomat. He was learning the skill set to basically rule the world one day, and that was taken from him. I think it would be a really cool parallel to see something that he was forced to do. He was born into royalty, so his path was chosen for him, to having choice now. And I kind of realized, like, before he had to do it, I want to see him learn to want to do it. like, because there's more of a choice behind his actions now. He's been given a second chance, and I want him to, I guess, love the fact that that second chance exists and he's not wanting to waste it because it's already been taken from him. That's another sort of dynamic in here that would be really cool. We're actually over, everyone, and an ad break's incoming, so I'm going to say no to that. Your homework is finish the book. E, who was in TikTok, says, is The Will of the Many similar to Red Rising? Yes. And we've been talking about the plethora of ways that that is the case. It's been wonderful talking about it. We're going to finish the book and meet back here same time next week, 5 p.m. PT on a Thursday, to discuss the rest of the book. Estia says, I just got here. Oops. We wrap things up at 7. We actually ran a little bit over. So we're going to raid into someone else right now. And I've got to go because I got an early flight tomorrow. Gotta go. Who can we raid into? Good chat, good discussions tonight. It was interesting. There's a couple of things that I wouldn't have figured out unless we had that conversation about Viz and his goals and protagonists, and like the fact that there was action and then exposition and then action and then info dump. It was really cool. I like it. Toaster Poster says, thanks for the stream, Maude. Hair does look great. Thank you. We've got to figure out if we want to...
Jason Charles Miller is playing Final Fantasy.
He's playing Final Fantasy? I see that.
And singing, apparently. Doing both.
What? We haven't raided into Jason Charles Miller for a while.
It's true.
We are due for a Jason raid. I'm going to have to raid and rest. Raid and rest. Get out of here. But yeah, I'll tell you all about the movie that I watched, which is why I'm going to New York. I'm just not allowed to say it until the 6th of October. But if you can figure it out,